Hi, I'm Magnus. I've been a trainer and nutritionist for more than 20 years. And today we are going to talk about my biceps. No, just kidding. Today I want to talk about working with James McAvoy on glass. I realized when doing all these videos that I never talk about how it is to really work on a movie set and where you start and where you finish. So I thought I would talk about that today. I want to take a moment to thank FitTrack for sponsoring this video. FitTrack is a scale that allows you to monitor 17 different health indicators, including body fat, BMI, muscle mass, hydration, and more, so you can understand your body composition and make smarter decisions about your health. So I've been using FitTrack for a while now, mostly to track my muscle mass and my body fat. And I have to say, this is an amazing product. Knowing these statistics allows me to make the right adjustments and change if needed. You can easily sync the scale with the app, and what I love most about it, that it's not only about weight. There are tons of other metrics that the scale can do to boost your healthy lifestyle. Click the link in my description below and use the code Magnus. Now let's get back to the video. One of my favorite projects that I've been on is the movie Glass with James McAvoy. If you've seen it, you've seen that James did a great job of playing, I think, 23 different characters, and one of them is the Beast. And I was the lucky one who got the opportunity to work with James to shape and build the Beast. It all started when I was out on tour with a client in the UK, and I was sitting in my hotel room and the phone rang, and it was James's agent, Teresa, who called me and asked me if I was interested in working with James. And as a huge fan of James, I obviously said, I am very interested. So she arranged a FaceTime call with me and James the day after, and we got on the call. We started talking about this character that he wanted to build, and he decided he wanted to work with me, and I decided that I wanted to work with him. When getting an offer like this, for me to say yes, it's important that whoever I'm going to be working with seem like a nice person. You want to get along, basically you're going to spend so much time together. Number two is that you also want to make sure that they think you have something to add, that I need to know that they are going to listen to me once we start. A third, maybe the most important thing, is that I need to make sure that they know what it takes. These makeovers are tough. I'm going to dictate everything. I'm going to tell them what to eat, even how much to eat, what time to eat, and same thing with training and resting. I might tell someone not to go out that night, go home and sleep. I might tell you to eat that portion with quinoa and chicken, even though you don't feel like it. So yeah, it's tough, and you want to make sure that whoever you're working with, that they understand that. Normally, when working on a project like this, the actor will find me, we talk, we come up with a plan, or they decide they want to work with me and I decide I want to work with them. And after that, it's up to the movie to approach me and hire me and pay for the whole thing. So after talking to James, that's exactly what happened. Once I came to an agreement with the production company, I flew back to LA, and then we got to work. The first thing that I had to do is to jump on a plane, fly to Montreal, Canada. You see, James was there filming X-Men. And right after X-Men, we would start the production of Glass. So I had to join his X-Men production to prep him for Glass. And as soon as I hit the ground, the work started. The great thing about working on a movie set is that I can control everything from nutrition to training. You see, you have caterers and private chefs on a movie set. So I was able to design the menu for James, make sure that the chef made it, and that James got the food at the right time and that he finished it. So a typical day for James would be to wake up in the morning, get a good workout in at the local gym where we were staying, then traveling to set, and while filming, eating every 3 hours. Normally, when working on a project like this, you have 3 big nutrition and training cycles. You have the build-up bulk cycle, you have the cutting cycle, and then you have like a base or a maintenance cycle. But there's also something that happens before that, and that's, a physical evaluation and a screening by me when I have a look at someone and making sure that they don't have any injuries and that they can move and control their movements, because you want to make sure that all this hard work that you put them through, that doesn't lead to an injury later, because that would be a disaster. Production would have to shut down and it would be my fault, and yeah, I wouldn't be getting another job anytime soon. So while filming X-Men, we had James on what I would like to call a light bulking cycle. We didn't have a whole lot of time to prep for Glass. It's actually one of the projects that the timeline has been the tightest. We didn't have a lot of time from when we started until he needed to be camera ready. So I needed to make sure that he didn't gain too much body fat, because I didn't have time to put him through a big cutting cycle. Another reason for putting James through a lighter build-up or bulking cycle was also that he was playing Professor X in X-Men. He was in his wheelchair every day, and how would that look if he was getting bigger by the day? And the funny thing, he actually did. He got a little too big. So one day the producers sat me down and had a little conversation about James getting too big. So I needed to make adjustments. So what I did was basically two things. One, I lowered his energy, carb and fat intake a little bit to make sure that he wouldn't get much bigger. The second thing was that I pulled a lot of his salt in the food. And as you might know, salt binds water. So if you pull salt from your diet, you actually lose a lot of water retention. So I did that to make sure that he stayed within the frame. And then after a few weeks, we ramped it up again. Some of you might think now that pulling salt from your diet is a great thing because it's going to make you lose water retention. Please don't. We need salt, we need water in the body. I know what I'm doing, and I did it for a short period of time. It can actually be harmful if you do it for a long period of time. So I just wanted to say that. Don't pull salt and water out of your diet. To move forward, a couple of weeks out from filming, I put James on a diet. That was his cutting cycle. It was a short one, but it was a pretty extreme one. He didn't have a whole lot of body fat to lose, but I wanted to make sure that we did the most with the short time that we had. During his cutting cycle, he would eat almost the same food, but obviously smaller portions, but still 5 meals per day. Look out for another video in the future where I will break down James's diet a little bit more. As far as training goes, during the cutting cycle, we shifted from less repetition and heavier weights to more repetition with less weights. And this is simply because there's a bigger chance of getting injured when lifting heavy and being calorie deficit. And I feel like you get more out of more repetition with lower weights during a cutting cycle. If I remember correctly, I think we flew out to Philadelphia where we started filming maybe a week before. That was a pretty stressful time for me. It always is when you do one of these makeovers, because then you've been putting in all this hard work. Everyone's got expectations, and you don't know if you have hit the mark, if you're there. And that's both super exciting and super scary. So here we are, first week of filming. We're in the warehouse. James is playing the Beast for the first time. And I remember this really well. Walking out on set, taking his robe off. And that was a great moment for me. Then I knew that we had done a good job. I thought he looked great. He had worked so hard, and seeing him for the first time like that, then I knew that this is going to go well. While filming on set, what I do as a trainer shifts from training to a whole lot of other things. I do everything from warm someone up before they're doing a physical scene to being on set with them, overseeing it. As soon as we started filming, we still did our workouts in the morning. We would go to set. I made sure that James got the right food, and every time he was the beast, I was there with him to warm him up, to pump him up with weights, and making sure that physically he looked the part as well. And what do I mean with that? Well, I'm not trying to take any credit for James's fantastic work as the beast. He really made that character his own. But what I can add in a situation like that is that if a camera hits a certain angle of your body and you don't look powerful and strong, I can actually help you and guide you to get there. So I helped a little bit with that with James, but as I said, the most was him. So for James, that meant keeping the muscle mass high and the body fat low. So I needed to make sure that he was giving enough protein, fat, and carbs every day to do exactly that. It is really tricky to give someone just enough food so they keep the body fat low without putting them in calorie deficit, not giving them enough food. If you don't feed your actor enough food, they are gonna have a hard time with actually the acting part. They're gonna look flat and they might get injured and they can't really perform as they should. Before I knew how good he was as an actor, now I know how great of a person he is. I feel really blessed to have worked alongside of James. So that was my process with James for Glass. Before we wrap it up, I want to mention that if you want to try James' workout program, I have it on my app, magnusmethodapp.com. Right now you can get 30 days for $1. There's also a nutrition guide in the app. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about my process or there's anything else you want to see on this channel, please comment below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you next week.